These are still early numbers, and this is exactly where we want Mick's take, because this is all when it starts to get exciting.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about Miami-Dade, look, this is a big deal. It hasn't been a Republican win for a long time.
It is and it isn't. It's fascinating for Florida politics. It's fascinating for future presidential elections in Florida. But it doesn't tell us much about the rest of the country. Miami-Dade is very unique. Yes, it's Hispanic, but it's Cuban and Venezuelan. And there aren't big Cuban and Venezuelan communities in Philadelphia or in Pittsburgh, Detroit, or Milwaukee. So, yes, it is. And it's sort of an example of a red state getting redder. Florida's getting more Republican. But I don't draw much inference from there to the other swing states.
Okay, Virginia. This is one of those interesting states. Look, it doesn't look like it's going to be a Trump pickup, but
this is the one that nobody's talking about, and all the insider geeks like me have been on the internet now for the last 5 minutes, 15 minutes talking about this. Kamala Harris is going to win. She's going to win. It looks like by 2 and 4 percentage points. This is a state that Joe Biden won by 12 points 4 years ago. She's also underperforming the popular Democrat senator. There's a Senate race in Virginia at the same time on tonight. Tim Kaine was the vice presidential nominee for Hillary Clinton, very popular senator there. Kamala Harris is underperforming him by 2 percentage points. Why is this important? Virginia looks a lot like Pennsylvania, a lot like Michigan. And if Kamala Harris underperforms by 2% in those states, she's going to lose those states. I also just hung up the phone with my friends in North Carolina, where James Morrow is, and it looks like there again, Kamala Harris is trailing the statewide Democrats by about 2%.
And so just to be clear, because this is very different in Australia, to be underperforming as the president to a senator on the ballot, that means when people are going in, they get the option to pick their president, the Senate, members of the House of Representatives. They're literally checking the senator and just leaving off president or voting for Trump potentially.
That's right, and that's not supposed to happen. Usually, rule of thumb, the presidential candidate will get the most number of votes across the board, and then you start to lose votes as you go down because everybody knows who the presidential candidate is. And the further down ballot you get, people just go, I don't know that person, I'm not voting for them. So to have a down ballot in North Carolina, it's not even a senator, it's statewide races like attorney generals and secretaries of state, races that no one's ever heard of, and those folks are garnering more votes right now than Kamala Harris is in North Carolina and in Virginia.
Have you ever seen this, an up ballot advantage?
You see it with really unpopular tops of the ticket. I mean, when a candidate loses nationwide as president, oftentimes they'll be outperformed by their party in a various state. But in a close election, it's unheard of.
So we haven't got a swing state yet, but what are the vibes at the moment?
Well, you haven't called any swing states. The vibes are good for Trump in Georgia, which I expected. Keep in mind, we've said from the very beginning, Georgia is not a purple state. It's a red state that has a Trump problem. North Carolina is a true swing state. They have a Democrat governor there. They have Democrat statewide officers. It's a purple state. Georgia looks really good for Donald Trump. North Carolina is still too early to call, and of course, we're now just getting into some of the polls closing in the other swing states.
I think Kieran's got a question as well.
Yeah, Mick, when you look at the betting markets, I've just noticed in the last hour or two, Trump's come in from $1.60 to $1.30. So while you're talking about these encouraging signs, certainly the dollars are heading towards Trump right now. And it looks like the pollsters have got it right. It's super close, and it's going to come down to the blue wall and particularly Pennsylvania. Is that your assessment of things where we stand right now?
It is, and we have a couple pollsters on staff at News Nation where I do some work here in the United States, and they're just giddy because, of course, everybody always accuses them of getting stuff wrong, and so far the pollsters have been right. It really, really is very close. Yes, you can draw a line for Donald Trump into the White House without Pennsylvania, but it's really, really hard to do. If he locks down North Carolina and Georgia, then things actually get a little bit easier for him. Of course, it's way too early to make that call, especially with North Carolina. But yes, all of that, what we just said for about the last 5 or 10 minutes, is to say it's still the same as it was 3 or 4 hours ago, which is all eyes are on Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.